With everything that's been going on in Wano and looking at the future of what will happen after this battle, I think one name that should always pop up when we talk about the next Shogun is Momonosuke. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Momonosuke, what being a Shogun would look like for Wano, what it means, and the future of for the character. Now, obviously, manga and anime spoilers will be put down in the description like always, so check that out if you are not sure if you're up to date or if you're not sure if this video has spoilers for you. And once you've done that, then we can get into the video. Now, Momonosuke, at this point also known as the 8-year-old man, has now proclaimed that he'd be the official shogun, next shogun of Wano, and he's the one who's going to carve a brighter future for them. They do not have to worry about going hungry. They don't have to worry about Kaido, the beast pirates working to death, suffering, the factories, the clean water. All these things are a thing of the past for them. They can now come together, build a new future, and turn the wasteland of Wano back into a paradise that it used to be. And it's been great to see Momonosuke grow. I think arguably probably had the greatest growth in the story since he came into the story and throughout the whole saga. Maybe in terms of power we can talk about other characters, but in terms of personality and as a character, he has grown the most. When we met him, he was just this boy who couldn't even talk for himself, who wasn't sure about anything apart from talking to other kids. Then he was like, I'm a samurai, I don't get hungry. But in terms of other stuff, in terms of just communication, asking for help, standing on his own 2 feet, he was a mess. And now we look at him and, he's still not altogether there. He still doesn't know what good words to say. We saw him asking Kinemon, what else should I say? I'm running out of cool things. But he's trying. He's looked at himself, he's reflected, he's seen his weakness, and he's seeing where he needs to grow. So obviously Momonosuke still has a long way ahead of him, but where he is right now, he's at the beginning of really becoming a great person in the world. And as the little narration box said, that Momonosuke at some point, he will become a great leader. He will become one of the greatest or a great leader in Wano's entire history. And as part of that, we've already seen him start to think a little for himself. In the last chapter, well, not the most recent chapter, but the last chapter before this recording, he was talking to Zunisha about, maybe we might want to keep the borders closed for a bit longer. So it seems he has some thoughts as to what Wano needs before it opens its borders, or what needs to happen. He has some kind of vision and he's thought about it. He understands a bit more about everything that's going on. So interestingly enough, it'll be interesting to see what he does, what he chooses to do. But that's just Momonosuke. And the title of this video is not Momonosuke, it's about the Shogun of Wano. So I feel that we also need to talk about Wano as a country. And this country that has been broken and battered, its spirit destroyed for over 20 years. What does this country need? As much as it needs a new shogun who cares, it also needs more than just a leader. And one of the things that's very obvious that has been built up this whole arc is the Kozuki clan, the Kozuki name. Like, everyone has been waiting for this. Some people have given up, but at night they still kind of dream about the days of the Kozuki when they were in charge. And I think, Momo being part of that is a big thing, but also Hiyori being back is a big thing. And not only the two of them as blood members of the Kozuki clan, but all the vassals as well. When people stalk the likes of Kinemon, Denjiro, Raizo, Neko, In, all these guys, you could literally see it for yourself that these guys were excited and we were excited. Note to self, Ashura Doji is not counted and is not seen in any of these panels, so his fate seems to have died. I'm not really sure. I think maybe it's just the pacing of the way that moment was. But I think Ashura Doji, it may be safe to say that Ashura Doji died. I feel like it would have been greater if the pacing there was much faster. It would have given us that very large shock value. And then we just didn't see him again. Like, he just disappeared off the face of the earth. But it seemed to be really slow, so... But coming back from that tangent, these guys are important. Not only just the Kozuki members, but these guys as vassals as well are really important characters, because everyone in the country recognizes them and their role as well. Not just Oden, they also saw the vassals, the Scabbards, the Akazaya 9. Now, Like I said, it's not, they need the image of the Kozuki, they need a great leader, but they also need, as a people, to heal. They need a leader who's going to help them heal in terms of the country, the vegetation, the water, but also the people. Kaido's talked about how these people have broken spirits and they just can't fight anymore. They'd either die or just rather live under him. So they can't really fight, and we need to see them regain their spirits, not just to be happy at the end, but in a way that shows that these people are willing once again to fight for themselves, to fight to protect what's theirs. This has been something that's been talked up. We've seen this with the Revolutionary Army in Belo Betty. We saw this with the people in Dressrosa when they decided to, stall Doflamingo and help Luffy gain just 10 minutes, right? This is a very thing we see often all the way back to Arlong Park, where everyone in Kokoyashi village was ready to storm and raid Arlong Park and die trying, right? And this is, which might be a bit similar to, some of the people who've died over the past 20 years, but there is something about it where, just seeing the characters resolve to fight and not just resign themselves to die, right? And seeing everyone in the country take up arms. And I want to say that the arc may not fully be over, and we may get to see this to some degree. We've still got people like, you've got government ships outside, navy ships outside, big mom pirates outside. It's unlikely we all know how this is going at this point, but I still think that there may be possibility that something may happen to show that these guys have now gained passion, gained motivation, and come together as a nation to heal and to grow. And under a new shogun, they can prove that they are once again a new Wano. But now that we've talked about making Wano strong and lush and such a paradise again, we've talked about helping the people, the importance of the Kozuki, the scabbards, we've talked about Momo and how he's grown. We need to talk about Momo and all this talk about, is it confirmed that Momo's not joining the Straw Hats, right? Is that what it is? Because after the last chapter, or what happened recently in the story, it seems that, it's kind of confirmed that Yamato would be joining and not Carrot or Momo. And just in regards to Momo specifically, this is not about Yamato or Carrot. This is what's happening to Momo. I don't think that it's decided yet. I think there's a lot of things where, depending on where the story goes, things may change. First thing that makes me think this is Momo still has some things that he's thinking. He talks about don't open the borders yet. Is it just because Wano needs time to heal? Or is there something that he feels like other things that he needs, things that need to be done before the borders can open? Right? And the other major thing is the whole point of faking it till you make it. When Momo looks back, he looks at Kinemon and, he says, what do I do now? And Kinemon just says, keep bluffing, keep faking it. And, maybe you'll stumble into success, right? And, they go into the castle and who knows, maybe that's the last time people will actually see Momo for a few years. There's likelihood that Momo is still needed outside the country. There's stuff to do with the story at large, his connection with Zunisha. There's quite a bit that could be, used or needed with Momo's character in the story, and, him staying in Wano, what is the point there? At the same time, based off of his growth, it could be this is the start of Momo's journey, just like this could be the moment where Luffy leaves Kobe and then Kobe grows on his own into a great marine. Momo now flourish into the samurai and shogun he was always meant to be. But just, showing that the door of possibility is open, because at the end of the day, you could have stuff where it's like Momo is a great shogun, but it's not because he's completely great. He has a certain amount of greatness to him, but there's also some kind of luck and forger of truth, some bluffing here and there that builds up the image of Momo as a great shogun. I think also just the fact that he looked at Kinemon, and Kinemon is the prime example of someone who is not as great as everyone believes that he is. He tries a lot, he tries really hard, which is where Momo is right now, but he's not as great as people say. And so Momo looking at Kinemon kind of gives me the feeling that maybe the greatness that we're talking about that Momo achieves is not, exactly greatness in its purest form, but some greatness with a bit of of lies and mythology and legends about a character. But if you're wondering what would happen in that time, well, there's so many things that we could talk about. First of all, I mentioned the vassals, and the scabbards are really important. People in the country look up to them, and for the most part, these are guys that can run the country. Denjiro, Kinemon, Izo, Kiku, these are people who the people of Wano know. They've managed money, they've managed Yakuza, they've managed everyone. They know everything. So even if Momo was there, these guys would be running the country anyway. And at the same time, it gives us a nice chance to have a very similar moment to what Toki had when Oden left, in which Toki and the Scabbards were kind of, building up the image of Oden, that he will return as a great samurai and that he would return and really take his position. But in this case, maybe the people of the country don't even know that their shogun isn't there. But, how big Hiyori became as Komurasaki and the Scabbards, that's enough to fill the hole for a while. And you could just see it. Like I said, Momo goes into the castle, and that's the last time they actually lay eyes on him for a very long time. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Tell me what you think. How do you feel? What do you think about, the new shogun? What do you think about the people of Wano? Do they need to face some kind of difficulty to prove that now that they are better, they've got pride again, strength, they're willing to fight and not just fall? Do you think that this is it? This is okay? As always, guys, like and subscribe. If you know someone who needs to hear the truth, please share this video with them. If you have time, watch one of my other videos. And if not, thank you for watching this video to the end. This is King KZ, and I'll see you in the next one.